Welcome back to this week's installation of a Biselleh Torah. Hayay is the name of the parsha that we're looking at this week, and it begins by talking not about Hayay, that is to say the life of Sarah, but in fact the death of Sarah. The first thing we are given to know in the parsha is that Sarah lived 127 years. And is asked by the sages of the past, does it mean anything? As opposed to 128 or 130, why 127 years? Nothing is without meaning and consequence in the Torah. And so they ask again, why is it that Sarah lived 127 years? Is it possible, they question, could this be a potential prophecy? A prophecy of something yet to occur? Of course, she left the world having had the gift that she so deeply desired for all her life, to have a child, and she was given that gift as the angels departed and left her with a sense that she would be pregnant very soon and give birth, and she did. But again, coming back to this, why 127 years? Is it simply the prophetic closure of having lived a good life and having born a child, or something else? Many centuries later, Rabbi Akiva noted that an interesting confluence occurs where in the story of Esther, the story that we tell at the time of Purim, when Haman, the archetypal enemy of the Jews, decided that he wanted to destroy all of Jews and Judaism, ultimately was defeated by Esther because of her bravery, her uncloaking of herself and revealing who she was to the king. And in the aftermath of that, we understand that she, Queen Esther, now ruled over 127 lands. Could this be the prophecy that they were seeking in understanding what was the meaning of Sarah living 127 years? Many hundreds of years yet after the scroll of Esther, and the story takes place, Rabbi Akiva, who lived at a time of great oppression by the Roman authorities, resurrected the story, talked about Sarah living 127 years, reminded his students that Esther ruled over 127 provinces, and said, what does this mean in our own time? He says it means that we have to take note that sometimes we live through times of great oppression, when we feel under the foot, the yoke around us, choking us, making us feel like there is no hope, no prospect for a possible good outcome or future of us. And again, I'm going to remind you that the Roman oppression of the Jewish people in Judea was awful, was just an awful time for the Jewish people, so much so that they dreamt and felt and looked for signs of the Messiah coming at any moment. In fact, there was one such proclaimed Messiah approximately at the time of Rabbi Akiva, whose name was Bar Kokhba. So hard had they fallen that they believed that there was no hope except if the Messiah would come and relieve them of their burdens. But Rabbi Akiva sought to allay their fears, saying, hope is not dead. Sometimes things don't happen when we want them to happen, but they ultimately do because there is a promise that was given by God to Abraham, to Sarah, and to generations that follow, that you will be as numerous as the sands on the shore and as many as the stars in the heavens. And even though bad times do come upon us, never lose hope. The vision, the prophecy, will ultimately appear and come to be revealed and true. Perhaps the lesson that Rabbi Akiva was teaching in his time has its application for ours as well. These are dark days that we're living through, and still the prophecy remains strong and ever present. Never lose hope, because just like Sarah lived 127 years as a prophecy, that Esther would be able to conquer Haman, the ultimate enemy, and preside over 127 provinces. And just as the Jews had lost all hope during the time of Rabbi Akiva under Roman authority, so too that worked out, so that they disappeared, Roman authority disappeared, Haman was gone, Sarah had a child, and so we shall get through these times as well, because there is something more powerful than human predilection for evil. And that's the promise of God. Shabbat Shalom.